Rose here. If you've watched any of my videos, you've seen the many changes the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society has made over the last 145 years. This video is going to be on truth. What really is truth to Jehovah's Witnesses? Now, before I go on, please make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons to help this video go out to a larger audience. And please make sure to comment, because I really enjoy reading your personal opinions on what I show you. There are many new ones waking up now to the Watchtower organization because of something that they have either experienced or due to the many changes and teachings that they have been taught as absolute Bible truths many times in the publications, talks, or now videos that are shown on a regular basis. But I have a question for you, and I honestly want to know your answer. What is truth? When you talk to any witness, you hear statements like, I found the truth. I came into the truth. We go out in service to teach others the truth. So, what do they mean by truth? What is truth? Truth is an actual fact. It can't change. Truth cannot change. If it does change, then it wasn't really true to begin with. If you claim something as the honest truth, but then you change it, you were lying to begin with. Here's an example I thought of, and maybe you can think of others. Again, let me know in the comments. If you're subpoenaed to be a witness in a court case and you're put on the stand, you're under the obligation to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So when the attorney does ask you a question, you are required to tell the truth about what you know. If you don't know the truth, you don't know the answer about something, you have to admit you don't know and you're not able to answer that question. If you were to make something up and claim you're telling the truth, you're actually lying. You can't claim one thing under oath only to later say something different. You can't just say, well, I really didn't know, so I made something up, and that's what I wanted you to believe. That answer would not be accepted by the court, would it? If an attorney or a judge find out the statement you made under oath was false, you would be accused of perjury, because you weren't telling the truth to begin with. You would have to admit that you made the statement up and were lying under oath, claiming it as truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Right? What would happen if you just looked at the judge and said, oops, I didn't really know the truth, so I made something up. I know I lied and said it was the truth, but I really didn't know what the truth was. And I don't feel there's a need to apologize for what I said or any damage it may have caused. What do you think the judge would do? You'd probably be thrown in jail for perjury. Well, isn't God our judge? As the men who claim to be the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses, his only true channel here on earth, not only for Jehovah's Witnesses, but for all humankind, state something as truth before him, do you think he expects them to tell the truth? How do you think God feels about those men stating their current understandings as absolute truth in the Bible, especially when they admit they don't know? Well, they have stood before Jehovah, and this is what they've said. During the 2023 annual meeting Jeffrey Winder said this.
And also, the governing body is neither inspired nor infallible, and so it can err in doctrinal matters or in organizational direction.
So if they make mistakes, do they really know the truth of something to begin with? Are the men who claim to be God's only true channel here on earth telling us the absolute truth when they claim that they are stating exactly what the Bible says? That they alone have the true understanding? What if after lying before a judge on the stand, somebody said this?
Well, knowing this, then, we are not embarrassed about adjustments that are made, nor is an apology needed for not getting it exactly right previously.
Would any of the men sitting as a governing body member today be able to claim that in a court of law? Would they get away with just saying, I made a mistake and lied to you, but I don't need to apologize for it, Judge? Yet they claim that before God to all of His people on earth. The jw.org website is not only seen by Jehovah's Witnesses, it can be seen by whether they are witnesses belonging to the Watchtower organization or not. Anyone who goes on to that website. They admit they change their truths of understanding because the light gets brighter.
So just as daylight grows brighter and brighter gradually, a proper understanding of Bible truths comes gradually.
They even admit that they have changed and keep changing what they claim is the truth. So they're really admitting that they keep lying to all witnesses.
And if you've been in the truth for a while, sometimes it's a bit hard to remember, was that what we used to believe, or is this what we believe now?
The men on the governing body are constantly telling witnesses to protect themselves from misinformation.
In today's world, there's a constant flood of information coming at you from just about everywhere. It's good to stay informed. The problem is that not everything you hear or see is true. Some of it is misinformation. Opinions, half-truths, conspiracy theories, and even outright lies dressed up as facts.
Would you consider the organization stating that Armageddon was going to start in 1878, only to change that to 1914, then 1925, then 1942, then 1975, and then before the end of the 1900s? Constant misinformation over the years? How about the organization claiming in the 1960s that we are definitely in the very last day of the last days? Only to have Stephen Lett claim the exact same thing again over 50 years later, in 2020.
So the events unfolding around us are making clearer than ever that we're living in the final part of the last days, undoubtedly the final part of the final part of the last days, shortly before the last day of the last days.
Jeffrey Winder said, the light gets brighter, and that's why those men who claim to be the spokesman of Jesus and the only true channel of God keep changing what witnesses are supposed to believe as truth. Remember, truth does not change. Clarified understanding of anything doesn't make it truth. It's exactly what they admit it is, just their personal understanding that they changed, or, in their words, clarified.
In 2010, the Watchtower explained it this way. It said, when the time comes to clarify a spiritual matter in our day, Holy Spirit helps the faithful and discreet slave to discern deep truths that were not previously understood.
Just because those men claim something is truth doesn't make it truth. What did Jesus say? He was very plain at Matthew 7, starting in verse 15. Jesus was talking about false teachers and prophets. He said, by their fruits you will recognize them. He said every good tree produces fine fruit, but every rotten tree produces worthless fruit. A good tree cannot bear worthless fruit, nor can a rotten tree produce fine fruit. Jesus went on, by their fruits you will recognize those men. What have been the fruits of the organization? They've put out false teachings. They've broken up families due to the unbiblical practice of disfellowshipping. They have allowed child sexual abuse and have covered it up due to the two-witness rule and not wanting to bring reproach upon Jehovah. In other words, not making the organization look bad. You can take any of the men who have sat as a faithful slave or a governing body member over the last 145 years and see the lies that they have produced, the harm they have caused because of those lies. Just because those men claim their understanding is truth doesn't make it truth. It's just their personal opinion, not God's truth. Because God's truth doesn't change in the Bible. However, imperfect, not inspired men's interpretations constantly change. By just giving their personal opinions and interpretations, claiming that this is what the Bible is stating, they are lying to everyone when they claim it as truth. How do I know it's just their personal opinions? I'll let Loesch tell you.
Whereas in the first century, there was supernatural knowledge available for apostles and Bible writers, in the time of the end, Jehovah does not bestow this miraculous gift anymore. Although there is no divine inspiration today, still whereas Jesus' teachings and the written word of God are inspired, the faithful and discreet slave is not inspired.
Those men keep changing their so-called Bible truths that they expect everyone to believe.
And if you've been in the truth for a while, sometimes it's a bit hard to remember, was that what we used to believe, or is this what we believe now?
So any man who has claimed to be the faithful slave or acted as a governing body member have been liars. By them claiming that they are the only ones who have true understanding of what God's word says in the Bible makes them liars. Every time they claim new clarified understanding of the Bible, they are liars.
And so Jehovah reveals clarified understanding at his time, when it is needed, and when it will help us to carry out his will.
I think the only time that they have told the truth was when they finally admitted that they don't know anything at the 2023 annual meeting.
We don't have the answer to those questions. We just don't know. We don't know.
We simply don't know.